Hey everyone, welcome to KwadWorx. I'm Nova FPV and today we're going to take a look at the ToolkitRC 300 watt M8 charger. This is a brilliant little charger. There's a look at all the specs. Stick around as we do a walkthrough through this charger. Excellent. Taking a look at the box. Got a nice, very sturdy packaging box. Inside we have the actual charger. It's got a very nice form factor. It's a bit of an angled screen. Gives a nice viewing angle even though it's on a flat surface. Taking a look around the charger. We have a 5 volt 2.1 amp USB power supply. We've got our S-Bus PPM and PWM signal outputs and inputs if you wish to use that. Around the other side of the charger we've got an XT60 where we would plug our battery that we're charging into and a 2 to 8S balance port. On the back we've got our input of 10 to 30 volts via an XT60, two nice big fans to keep this charger nice and cool the whole time. Let's give her some power. Taking a look at the interface. Well, we've got charging mode, measuring mode, output mode, and the settings. With the charging mode, it's a very simple plug and play type charging setting. When you get it, it'll just say new everywhere. We'll press OK. You can select which type of battery you're charging. There's standard LiPo, LiPo high voltage, LiPo ferrite, Li-ion, nickel metal hydride, and lead acid, and that's the load of that. Today we're going to be using a LiPo high voltage. That's 4.35 volts per cell. You normally want to leave that on auto, then it'll just take a look at what voltage is coming in, and as well as take a look at the balance leads that are plugged in, and it'll set the voltage automatically. But if I were to plug this 4S in here, it jumps to 4S. We can plug in a balance lead. We can select that we want to charge at, let's say, an amp, discharge at an amp, and let's charge to 16.8, yes, and then it's charging. By the way, let me note that I am charging off of another 4S. This is totally cool. I have rigged up a power supply with an XT60 input for this. That's where I would normally charge from. Very nice charging capabilities. The cell that's highlighted at the moment, that normally tells you which cell is the highest cell, and that's the one that will be doing the most resistive balancing on. Scrolling down, we can take a look at what are our internal resistances, what is our input voltage, and what is our input wattage. This is quite nice to keep in mind because a lot of the time if you are pushing 300 watts, your amps will change as you go up or down in voltage for what you're charging. It's best to run this off of like a 24 volt about 300 watt 400 watt power supply would be the best for this, as I have had many people tell me they run this off of 24 volt power supply. Getting into the measurer mode, you can measure a battery, plug in a battery, hit the mode, it'll measure it for you. It'll also do your balance, it'll do a balance measure for you. You'll get a PWM, which you'll go in through here. You'll measure the PWM over there. PPM, same story. S-Bus, same story. And ESC, I'm not actually sure, but I don't use that one. So the nice thing about PWM, PPM, and S-Bus would be if you have a receiver but you're not quite sure that it's actually outputting anything. You're not sure, is it your flight controller that's dead? Is it your receiver that's dead? What is dead? You can actually wire up your receiver into here and see if it will, what it outputs, if it does indeed output that. The battery feature, that will run exactly the same as just measuring a normal battery. Yeah, we got a battery. This is our R line. It's pretty beaten up. So we'll go into measure a battery. And let's see, look at, there we go. Okay, there we go. So we can see that this battery is sort of its storage. We can tell it to balance. It'll do some balancing. It'll balance between the cells. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I love this little charger. It's a 300 watt charger, which means you can push quite a lot of batteries in series. Parallel, not series. You can use it to balance charge quite nicely. Heading into the output mode, essentially what this says is that if I want to use this as a bench power supply, so let's say you want to run your TS100, or you want a very nice fine 10 volts for whatever purpose you're using it for, you could come down here, set it down to 10 volts, and I don't want my amps to peak past an amp. If I hit start, I will be allowed 10 volts to come out here, and I won't be allowed to pull more than an amp on this specific charger. Coming down to PWM, and it'll output a PWM through here, where we could select the actual cycle time, and that basically adjusts our duty cycle. Coming down to PPM, very same story. Come up, select a channel, and change that channel as you need. Same with the S Plus. So this is also very cool if you don't have a receiver and you want to see if your flight controller is indeed working, then you can output from here directly to your flight controller, though I don't see that being a big thing in our world of racing drones and quadcopters and stuff like that. Over here we've got a constant 5 volt 2.1 amp USB port. So this is brilliant if you have, let's say, a USB 18650 charger and you want to charge up the batteries on your Fat Sharks or in your transmitter. That's brilliant for that. Going through the settings, we can set our lowest input voltage. It'll give us an alarm if our voltage drops below that. Our lowest input wattage, this is very nice if you're running a less than 300 or so watt power supply, i.e. let's say you're running a 100 watt power supply. You could set this down to, for instance, 90 watts for safety's sake. Then whenever you try and pull more than 90 watts out of the power supply, the charger will essentially cut off that charging process and tell you that you're trying to overwatt the power supply, which is very brilliant. It saves you money, you're not burning out power supplies. Discharge mode, this is a very cool feature about this charger. If I am putting a battery into storage, or I wish to discharge this battery, and I've got a nice big hunker chunker battery on this side, then what I can actually do is I can select to recycle my energy, where it would take the battery that you're busy discharging's energy and actually pump it back into the big battery, essentially charging up the big battery. Thank you for sticking around for the whole video. Please tell us in the comments, what do you think of the ToolkitRC M8 charger? Do you like it? Do you have one? If you do, tell us what you think about it. Do you not like some of these specs? And also, like, subscribe, share. If you have any comments you feel we did something wrong, please tell us in the description. We'd like to get a conversation going, get a discussion going. We love discussing anything related to basically anything. So please stick around next time.